During COVID-19 lockdown, maintaining uninterrupted power supply was of utmost importance to us. However, due to the lockdown, meter reading activities were temporarily suspended from March 2020 account in view of safety considerations as per safety guidelines of the government. In the absence of meter reading, the provisional bill for March 2020 was raised on the basis of consumption in March 2019 account. Now let us take an example of this case, wherein the March 2020 account provisional bill was prepared on the basis of 377 units recorded in the same period last year, that is March 2019 account. The provisional bill for April 2020 was generated based on the average consumption of past 6 months, that is October 2019 to March 2020. This was in compliance with the fresh regulatory guidelines received from WBERC dated 6th May 2020. In the instant example, the consumption in the past 6 months was 315 units in October 2019, 193 in November 2019, and 157 units in December 2019, and 178 units in January 2020, 178 units in February 2020, and 377 units in March 2020. Hence, the average was 233 units, on the basis of which the provisional bill for April 2020 was prepared. However, this period primarily covers the winter season, which typically has lower consumption. The calculated average consumption was hence much lower than the actual consumption. The April 2019 consumption was 782 units, whereas billing for April 2020 was done on 233 units in compliance with the relevant regulations. On withdrawal of lockdown, we have been able to resume physical meter readings immediately from 8th June 2020 with safety precautions. However, for May 2020 account, in cases where physical meter readings could not be obtained, the bill was prepared on the basis of average consumption of previous 6 months, that is November 2019 to April 2020. Consumption in November 2019 was 193 units. In December 2019 was 157 units. January 2020 was 178 units. February 2020 was 178 units. March 2020 was 377 units. And April 2020 was 233 units. Hence, for May 2020, if the meter reading had not been obtained, the provisional bill for May 2020 would have been on the basis of the average consumption of 220 units. For cases where the physical meter reading for May 2020 account could be taken, the bill was prepared on the basis of the actual advance registered by the meter, after adjusting the amount we have already billed in March 2020 and April 2020. The June 2020 account bill for those consumers will be prepared as per advance recorded based on actual meter readings noted in May 2020 and June 2020 and will not require any further adjustment. In the instant case meter reading recorded in May 2020 was 36,221. The previous actual meter reading was noted for February 2020 account bill, that is 34,700. Hence, the total advance was of 1,521 units. Of this, 377 units was billed in March 2020, 233 units in April 2020, and hence the May 2020 account bill was prepared on the basis of the balance 911 units. If the physical meter reading for a consumer is resumed in June 2020 account, the June 2020 bill will be prepared on the basis of the actual advance registered by the meter, after adjusting the amount we have already billed in the provisional bills of March 2020, April 2020 and May 2020. Now, if we look at the consumption chart of this consumer, the average consumption for March 2020 to May 2020 is 507 units, which is comparable to the average consumption during March 2019 to May 2019. Generally, the overall cumulative consumption of March 2020, April 2020, May 2020 and June 2020 would also be comparable to similar period of last year. Any increase could be due to additional usage of electrical appliances by consumers during confinement at homes owing to lockdown. Now let us understand the other components of the bill. The maximum contributing parameter of your bill is energy charges, which is calculated on the basis of the units consumed. For this consumer, 911 units is calculated over 7 slabs at the appropriate rates decided as per guidelines of WBERC. Hence, the energy charges for 911 units comes out to be Rs 7,475.27. We have provided proper rate slab benefit against all such adjustments, which has been shown in the adjustment sections on the reverse side of the bill. Now let us understand the adjustments. We have already seen that this consumer's average consumption for March 2020 to May 2020 is 507 units. The corresponding energy charges would be Rs 3,871.59 per month. Hence, at this rate for 3 months, March 2020, April 2020 and May 2020, the energy charges for 1,521 units would have been Rs 11,614.77. You may also see the corresponding energy charges charged on your March, April and May 2020 account bill, which is a total of Rs 11,721.30. Hence, the rate slab benefit of Rs 105.48 in the form of adjustments, which is equivalent to the difference between these two energy charges, has been provided to the consumer. This is shown in the adjustment section of the bill. For consumers whose June 2020 account bill will be prepared after obtaining the actual meter reading, will follow the same billing logic as followed previously and will include similar rate slab benefits. Consumers can avail a wide variety of payment options to pay their bills through various online modes such as credit or debit cards, net banking, mobile wallets, NEFT or RTGS, etc., or through cash and check. We trust that we have been able to clarify the position to you. For any future assistance, you may kindly contact our helpline numbers.